And good afternoon to my friends in Texas and East, because it's now noon. And good morning to my friends still waking up in the Pacific and the Mountain Time. Welcome. This is a beautiful picture at the 10-year anniversary of EXP as a company. There's Juan and Bettina, those wonderful smiling faces that mean so much to me and that have meant so much to me over these past few years. And this is an introduction to EXP Realty. And I would ask you to be open-minded. I would ask you to take off the hat that we wear of loyalty to a brand and loyalty to a company. I've owned 3 different franchises, and I've been a part of every major brand, and I really had to take off my hat of how I looked at the real estate industry in looking at EXP, because this is different. This is a disruptor. And I'm going to tell you a word that has become one of my favorite words, maybe my very, very favorite word over this past year, and that is disintermediation. Disintermediation is the reduction in the use of intermediaries between producers and consumers. So I'm going to give you some examples of this, but this is what has been happening in so many industries where the old way of doing things was a manufacturer sold to a distributor sold to a retailer, the retailer sold the consumer, and we had that cost per unit of, let's say, $50. Let's say this is a nice toaster. It's a nice toaster oven for $50, right? So the manufacturer makes it, gets it to a distributor, retailer, consumer. Along comes a company like Walmart, or Kmart back in the day, or Target. And here are these large and big retail companies that are dealing directly with manufacturers. They're cutting out the distributor. They're not dealing with distributors, they're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which allows them to get better costs. They pass those cost savings on to the consumer. And that same toaster that costs $50 at Sears is going to cost $46.25 at Walmart. And then along comes Amazon. And Amazon takes out the distributor and the retailer and goes directly through the web. They are a conduit for the manufacturer to deal directly with the consumer. And it takes that same toaster oven that was $50 and $46.25 at Walmart and makes it $38. And it's because there's an elimination of not just the infrastructure, but the brick and mortar that's involved in having a distribution center and a retailer and all of that. And so we've seen this happen. We've seen disintermediation and disruption happen in so many industries, in almost every industry. And I would say this: if there's an industry you know of where this has not happened or is not happening right now, we need to give me a call. We need to create a disruptor and disintermediator for that. So we look at music. Sam Goody becomes iTunes. AOL becomes Google. Borders becomes Amazon. Circuit City, Overstock.com, Amazon. Photography stores, we now have Facebook and iPhones for that. Blockbuster, Netflix. And of course, Yellow Cab is disrupted by Uber and Lyft. And Marriott is disrupted by Airbnb. I heard a statistic, I don't know if I'm going to say it accurately, but I heard the statistic that Airbnb has more listings, more room listings than all 3 of the major hotel chains combined. That's pretty amazing when you think about it. Where do you go when you're looking for a place to stay? Do you go first at Airbnb? Do you call a taxi company, or do you just go on your phone and on your Uber app and go to Uber? So EXP explained from the context of disintermediation and disruption. So I have worked at the national level in some real estate companies. And those national companies sell regional ownership to someone who is then going to then sell a franchise to a franchisee. Now that national company takes 3 to 10% off the top on every single commission, and they call it a franchise fee or a royalty fee, right? So I'll use this as an example. Better Homes and Gardens, who I worked for, the franchise fee, I think, is 6% or 7% or something like that. That goes directly to Realogy, to Better Homes and Gardens. They don't have regional owners, but the local broker owner is paying, so that 3 to 10% at each of those levels is coming off the top of each commission, right? And so that's why when we look at a traditional split, you're looking at companies that have a 70-30 split or an 80-20 split, because that 20 is going to get split up between a national company, regional owner, and a local broker owner. The local broker owner goes out and hires managers and team leaders, excuse me, and recruiters, and that's how the money gets split up, because they're paying for these different areas of infrastructure and the brick and mortar. So what happened back in 2009 is, as the industry was changing, so were the laws, and it became possible for a national company to provide brokerage services at a local level by employing a broker at that locality. And so things changed, and we were now able to have what's called a cloud office. So what Glenn Sanford, our founder, created was a cloud office. And these next two levels were replaced by agent ownership, right? Because we don't need to have a local broker owner. Agents can have ownership in the company. And agent attraction and retention is no longer done, excuse me, by that local broker owner. It's now done by agents who are creating their own teams without the liability of having to be a local broker owner. And so that 20%, up to 20%, that was previously going to pay a regional owner or a local broker owner are now going back to the agents in the form of agent ownership, and I'll talk about that very specifically, and agent attraction and retention. What we are paid to be a part of agent attraction and retention, that's called revenue share, right? So having that as a background, I want you to forget about that for a second, and I want you to think about retirement. And my retirement plan before EXP was to keep selling real estate and keep recruiting agents and keep working in the real estate industry until I died. Literally, that was my retirement plan. And so if you talk to a financial advisor and you say, I want to have a residual income, a dividend paid to me of $3,000 a month or $36,000 a year, he's going to tell you, okay, so you want to have about $1 million in the bank, earning you about 3.6%. And here's where this number comes from, is that if you're, without depleting the principal, you can get an average return of, let's say, 3.6%. This is what financial advisors say, which is that $3,000 a month. So I have an option of saving $1 million in order to get a $3,000 a month dividend payment. That, for me, looks impossible. That saving of $1 million, right? It's like, that's never going to happen. I have the wonderful ability to spend 120% of every penny that I make. So I just don't see that as being realistic. So what EXP has done through its revenue share program is, if we attract and retain agents, we have the ability to create residual income. So I want to do a 3-year plan, and I want you to think about this from the aspect of, you don't want to be a recruiter. You don't want that to be the focus of your life. You want to continue selling real estate, make good money selling real estate, and in the process of just doing business like you normally are, accumulate stock, which we'll talk about in a minute, but also accumulate revenue share so that you are sharing in the revenue of other agents that you attract and help to retain at EXP. So every agent at EXP is on an 80-20 split, and there's a $16,000 cap. What that means is that once you have paid $16,000 to EXP, you're at 100%, right? So that $16,000 is split up, excuse me, in revenue share back to the agents that have been a part of attracting and retaining agents. So let's just say 3-year plan, over the next 3 years, you are going to attract and retain 2 cappers every year. That's 1 capper every 6 months. That's 6 agents. So if you were to do this over the next 3 years, then that first level, if you're familiar with KW's profit share, it's 7 levels. EXP's revenue share is 7 levels. We're not that interesting that we do it that differently. The only difference we did is instead of taking the money off of the profit end, we take the money off of the front on the revenue end, right? So out of that first money that comes out of a commission. So if I've attracted 6 cappers, out of that $16,000 from each of those cappers on that first level, I am going to get $2,800 per agent. So that is $16,800 a year after that 3 years, right? So I've attracted 6. Now, let's just assume that those 6 are going to each have a buddy come with them over to EXP, right? And we've seen this, most people, when we move, we've got one person that comes with us, right? It's the way it happens, right? There's one buddy that always follows us, or there's one buddy that we always follow, right? So let's say those 6 people that I attract, they also attract 1 person each over the next 3 years. So we've got 6 people at level 1. We've got 6 people on the second level, on the second tier. And on that second tier, I'm getting 3,200 of that 16,000, which equals 19,200. Together, that's $36,000, which is my $3,000 a month dividend. So let me ask you this question, and you don't need to answer it. I just want you to think about this. What is easier in the next 3 years? Is it easier for you to save $1 million, or is it easier for you to attract and retain 6 cappers who each attract and retain 1 capper each? For me, the answer to that question was very simple. Much easier for me to attract these 12 people. So I hope I've gotten your brain going in a different direction. And now let's think big. And Rob Flick talks about the 10 who get 10. So we've got the same 3-year plan, but let's say you decide you're going to spend time on building your revenue share. This is one of the reasons why you're joining EXP. I want to paint a picture of what that would look like. If that's not what you're interested in, think back to the other 3-year plan, $3,000 a month. That's good. That's a lot more than what I ever got from attracting and retaining agents with another company when it comes to a residual payment that is paid to me forever, right? So 3-year plan, if I'm going to do some work attracting agents and retaining agents. So let's say over the next 3 years, I attract and retain 10 cappers on that same 80-20 split. I'm going to get the same $2,800 per capper, but the total is $28,000 a year. So from attracting 10, $2,800 each, 10 cappers, I'm getting $28,000. Let's go one step further. Instead of each of them attracting 1 person, let's say I help them attract and retain 10 people each. 10 who get 10. That means 100 people on my second level. That second level is $3,200 per person, which gives me $320,000 a year on that second level. That's $348,000. That's the same as if I saved $10 million. Do you see that? So I just want to throw this out to you. Even if this is Not even halfway possible. Cut that in half. That's 120, that's 174,000. I think all of us would be happy with 174,000 residual that we're getting paid every year for doing what we would have done anyway. So I hope that piques your interest a little bit. I want to talk next about Icon, and we'll talk about equity awards in a minute, but in addition to, and this is why for me, EXP makes sense for top producers. EXP makes sense for my $10 to $15 million people. Because once you cap, if you do an additional 20 transactions after capping in your year, you get what is called Icon status. Now, there's some other few things that you need to do, but that's the basics of it, is cap plus 20 transactions. You are considered an Icon agent. And at the end of that year, when you Icon, you are gifted back in stock by the company the entire $16,000 that you paid into your cap. Let's let that sink in. How many of you have ever gotten a trophy for being a top producer, or got your name put on the guitar of being a rock star realtor, or have been called up in front of people at an award ceremony and said, "Great job"? No. I'm talking about every single penny that you paid in commissions. Like, so you're split, you're getting that back in stock. For me, that's powerful. So I'll get into more detail about that in a second. I want to talk a little bit about who EXP is, and to give you a little bit of context about why we're able to do this and how this came about. Glenn Sanford was a top agent. His realtor experience grew from being someone who understood online, and he was involved in online leads before online leads were even cool. Closed more than 60 million a year, and his entire philosophy, his entire approach was, how do I use technology to do things better? How do we use technology to do things more efficiently? And in 2009, Glenn founded the first cloud-based brokerage, EXP. Since then, it's taken a while for EXP to grow. So in the first 5 years, they got up to, 500, 600 agents. 2015, they were, up to about 1,000, 16, 17, 18. If we look at this curve, and here's what I heard this morning. I heard that we are now over 28,000 agents. And I'll throw this out to you. There has to be a reason why 28,000 agents have joined EXP. There has to be a reason why we are the #1 independent brokerage by transactions. There has to be a reason why we are the largest brokerage by geography. We're in every state and almost every MLS in America. 28,000 agents in 11 years. That is amazing, unprecedented. We're also in 5 Canadian provinces. We're in UK and Australia. And right now we're working on getting into places like Mexico and Puerto Rico and the rest of Central and South America and Africa and the rest of Europe. What makes this possible is our cloud campus environment. We don't have desk fees. We can work from anywhere. We don't have brick and mortar costs. We don't have to have an office on every corner because we have an office everywhere. We don't have expensive leases, and that means that our company can invest in agent support and technology. Our transactions are paperless, and we get instant access to training and support. Instant access to training and support. I want to put that in terms that we can understand. So when I was the broker owner of my franchise, I had a person who was in charge of compliance. Her name was Shirley. Shirley was amazing. But when Shirley wasn't there, it meant no one was looking at things for compliance. It meant either I had to look at them or I had to wait for Shirley to get back. In this type of an environment, we have access to support in real time through our cloud campus environment. And with 28,000 agents, we can afford to have 200 people in our transaction coordination department. We can have 100 accountants working for us that are helping us to deal with our payments and payment processing, things like that. It's economies of scale at a whole new level because we don't have to have the brick and mortar. Here it says more than 40 hours of live training every week. Right now, it's even more with what's been going on. There are, I mean, and I'll just throw this out to you. I have participated in training from some top people in my life, and I've always had to pay a premium for that. People like Jay Kinder and Michael Reese. And I just saw an email come out yesterday where Mike and Jay are both doing trainings in the cloud for free for EXP agents, right? They've been with EXP for a couple of years now. That's insane. That's amazing. That level of training is what EXP is able to provide free for its agents. Real-time support, quick on-demand support services. Our support teams are online and available weekdays from 6 a.m. until 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. I have access to the support that I need. This is what's available in the cloud, in our cloud-based office. I will add to this. I think now we have like 9 or 10 brokers that are working for us here in Texas. And like, I know our support staff here in North Texas, you send them a text message, they reply. They're available when we're working. And that's a cool thing to have that overlay of both the live person, real person, local person, and a cloud-based office. International collaboration. We are interacting and learning from other top professionals in the company. And I mentioned, Jay and Mike, but also people like Brent Gove out in California or Kyle Whistle down in San Diego. I mean, these are people that I have been involved in coaching with Tom Ferry or admired or worked with when I was working with John Cheplack. These are people who are trendsetters in the industry, who have charged a lot of money for the training that the coaching that they do, that they are bringing to their peers here in EXP for free, that you have available in the cloud. Equity opportunities. So I was talking about this a little bit before when I was talking about Icon, and we'll talk about Icon as well. But EXP is traded on the NASDAQ. It's not on the pink pages. It's not an over-the-counter stock. It's on the NASDAQ. We were listed on the NASDAQ almost 2 years ago. Our symbol on the NASDAQ is EXPI. Now, here's what happens. Our equity plan is a sustainable equity plan. We earn shares after our first transaction with the company. It's about $400 worth of shares. We then earn shares each year when we fully cap. Also, we get shares when an agent that we sponsor closes their first transaction. So even if you aren't sponsoring people, even if that's revenue share is not a part of what you're doing, you're going to get shares when you do your first transaction, and you're going to get shares when you fully cap. Now, let me ask you this. I'll ask this of everyone that's on the call for you to think about, regardless of how big or small your company is. Did you get NASDAQ traded stock or New York Stock Exchange traded stock, like real stock exchanges traded stock, from doing a transaction, from capping? The answer is no. I've worked for all the majors. I've never had that. Never had that. Next is the Icon Award. Up to $16,000 in stock given back to you based upon your achievement. So I told you it's that, once you cap, it's an initial 20 transactions. And then on top of that, our agent equity program. So this might not seem like much, but I want you to think about, if you're working for one of those big box brokerages, like I did, let's use Better Homes and Gardens or Coldwell Banker as an example, and you paid a franchise fee of, let's say, 5% on every transaction right before your split, which I did when I worked for those companies. Just continue paying that 5% to yourself, not to the company. And through the agent equity program, you are able to purchase stock, EXP stock, at a 10% discount, up to 5% of each transaction that you do. So you do a deal that has $1,000 commission that you're getting, $50 in stock at a 10% discount. That basically means you're getting what? $57 worth of stock for $50, right? And you can go and turn around and just sell that the next month. That's big. That is a way for you to build wealth while selling real estate. All right, next. I talked about eXplained World when it comes to the real estate, to our cloud campus environment. If you haven't been in our cloud campus environment, reach out to me or Juan and Bettina or whoever invited you to this call. They can get you a guest pass and you can go in and experience it. It's one of those things that you really do need to experience in order to understand. So, I mean, it sounds silly, but if you need help and you're not sure who to ask, you go to the information desk. You walk up to the onboarding administrator, the Joshua, and you say, "Hey, Josh, I'm Chris." And when you walk close to somebody, you can talk to them. Get your microphone. And, "Hey, I wasn't sure where to go. I need information on this." We have specialized support, team collaboration, information sharing, daily training, large-scale meetings. Our Texas meeting is Tuesday mornings, where we've got a couple thousand people in the room talking to our Texas brokers. We can get into our office anywhere, anytime. We get instant live support from agent services, tech support, transaction, accounting teams, all through internet connection. If I was having problems with my computer, I could go to tech support and they would take control of my computer and fix it for me. That's pretty cool. Next, Chris, that's all fine and dandy, but sometimes I need to sit down face to face and knee to knee with the customer in a quiet professional environment, and Starbucks just doesn't cut it. I get it. Been there, done it. This is why eXp has partnered with Regus so that we have access to every single Regus center in the world for free. We can access their workspaces and co-working spaces. If you need to have like a private office or a conference room, you can pay for that at a discount. If you need an office, Chris, you know what? I've got a team and I need an office. Great. I totally understand. You can get it at your local Regus at a discount. This is groundbreaking. I don't need to be a part of brick and mortar. I don't have to invest in that brick and mortar in order to have access to brick and mortar. This is big. So eXp solutions. So we talked about the world in our cloud office. We also have a number of other tools that we have access to. We have eXp Enterprise, which gives us an overview of everything. We've got SkySlope, which is transaction management, Workplace by Facebook, CRM and lead generation, branding and marketing. I'm going to take you through each of those pretty quickly. eXp Enterprise is our desktop access to everything eXp. We can see transaction details, commission and cap status, review our equity program, see how much stock we've got, look at our revenue share. It's like our foyer to all things eXp. SkySlope is our paperless transaction management system. It's for those of you that have used DocuSign or Dotloop, it's in that same vein. It's SkySlope, and I found it actually very easy to use. It integrates with zip forms, very easy to use. Now, how many of you have Facebook? Everybody raises their hand, right? How many of your companies have a private version of Facebook created for you called Workplace? Not many. So Workplace is the business entity private version of Facebook that Facebook creates for companies. So all 28,000 of us interact in a safe company environment where people outside the company don't have access to it. And this is where we share announcements. We talk about things. If I need somebody in Mesquite to show a lease client a house, or I need to send out that referral, I can go to my Texas room and I can find somebody in Mesquite immediately. Share files, broadcast live video, the same things that we can do in Facebook, but this is our private version of Facebook. From what I understand, what I was told before is that eXp is the largest real estate company that's using Workplace by Facebook. Pretty amazing. So for those of you that are using a CRM and lead generation, Inside Real Estate is one of the companies that provides these solutions. Conversion, KV Core, I'm sure you've heard of them. What would have cost me before about $1,000 to set up and $500 or $600 a month, I get for $85 a month as part of my technology fee that I pay every month. At $85, I get KV Core, lead generation, and CRM. So, I did it again. Sorry about that. So I think I'm back. So here I am. Let me make sure that I'm presenting. There we go. So KV Core is the platform that is used by Inside Real Estate to generate leads. So we've got a program called Making It Rain that for $250 a month, you can jump on it and have these ads going out and leads coming in to KV Core. The majority of the agents that I have talked to, a number who use this, find it to be one of the most cost-effective, if not the most cost-effective lead gen platforms that they've used. And if you're unfamiliar with KV Core, talk to some people that know about KV Core. And there are some even on, if you want to reach out to me, I can definitely give you information, give you people to talk to, both in EXP and outside EXP that use KV Core for lead management. Marketing and branding, just like all companies, we've got a branding center and a website that we can go to and order business cards and brochures and signage and all things marketing and branding within our marketing and branding center. Okay, so what's next? I hope that I have piqued your interest and gotten you to think a little bit about maybe where the real estate industry is going and your place in it. The world has changed. I no longer have to work for somebody who's the owner, who's going to make all the money. I am no longer investing my time and energy into building someone else's company. I can invest my time and energy building a company that I'm an owner of. If you have questions about this, reach out to the person who invited you. Reach out to me. I will talk to you on behalf of that person and help you understand. We'll get a three-way call, the three of us. This is my email address, chris1234weaver@gmail.com. My telephone number is 972-338-0763. That's my cell. Feel free to reach out. If you want to see these slides, and there's more that I didn't go through, you can go to join.exprealty.com and see the entire presentation and have some of your questions answered without you actually having to talk to somebody. This is also where you would go if you would like to fill out an application to start the process of joining EXP. Now, I'll let you know this. When you fill out the paperwork, it gives you access to the world and all those things, but your license actually does not transfer from where you are to EXP until you transfer the license. And we don't contact your broker at all. That is totally up to you. So this is not, if you go to join EXP Realty and fill out that application, it's not like, oh, automatically your license transfers. We then coordinate that with you so that it's in the timing that you would like. Next, talk to the person who invited you. They invited you for a reason. They probably invited you because they know you and they know how this would benefit you. If you don't see how this would benefit you, call them and say, why did you invite me? You know I've been over at Coldwell Bank for 18,000 years. Why did you think I'd ever want to hear about EXP? Well, they'll tell you why, right? And maybe it's because they thought this would give you a chance at retirement, or the stock would be interesting to you, or you're an icon agent and why not get 16,000? Seriously, who doesn't want an extra 16 grand a year? Who doesn't want 100%, pay no commissions and get 16,000, right? That's pretty cool. So forward this presentation to another EXP or another EXP Explained presentation to your friends. Ask them for their opinion. This is not a decision that you're going to make in a vacuum. You're going to talk to the people that you know. You're going to get their opinion. And guess what? there are people out there who understand what EXP is all about, and there are people out there that don't. And you're going to have to be discerning and make the decision of who you're going to listen to, who you're not. Next, it took me that first time, close to 4 years ago, when Rob Flick showed me the presentation. It took me 3 years until I finally joined. It then took me about 4 months and probably seeing about 20 presentations to where I understood really what was going on. Before that, it was all fuzzy, like I'm sure it's fuzzy for you right now. So join us again next Friday. We're going to have a training from 11 to 11:30, and then a break, and then we're going to do a presentation. It'll be done by another EXP member who has a different perspective. And I think it's really important that you see not just multiple presentations, but multiple presentations from multiple people, so you get their perspective and understanding of it. So join us again next Friday. The person who invited you this will obviously invite you again next week. Reach out to one of us, and we'd love to talk to you. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time this morning. The recording of this presentation, the recording of my training earlier, will be up on Facebook and YouTube this afternoon. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time. And I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting. There we go. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great Friday.